Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. Or if you're a new viewer, welcome. And I encourage everyone that if you like this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button or leave a comment just so I know what kind of content you guys like. That can give me ideas for future videos. So the main reason I wanted to make this particular video is because a lot of people that I speak to have this really weird misconception that I have everything figured out in life and know where I'm going and just that I'm doing everything right. And really, every time someone, brings up this kind of idea, I'm always like, who lied to you? Because that is not the case at all. And especially when I hear this kind of sentiment from people my age, the ironic thing is that I know exactly the feelings that are the source of that misconception, which are like feelings of inadequacy or, kind of being lost, not knowing what they want to do themselves. And what makes it so ironic is that I experience all of those feelings as well. And honestly, in this day and age, I really don't think that anyone is safe from those kinds of thoughts and feelings. So you saw the title of the video, and that title is the label that I'm giving to the, agglomeration of feelings that I just mentioned before. And thus, we coined the term quarter-life crisis. And if I want to concisely try to define what I mean by quarter-life crisis, I'd say that it would be, 20-something-year-olds trying to figure out who we are, what has led us up to this position that we're in, and most importantly, where the hell we go from here. Now, what I'm gonna do here is offer some points that are gonna help you navigate the said quarter-life crisis, and hopefully will help you shift your energy from focusing so much on what you're not doing or what you haven't done, and take that energy and put it into helping yourself thrive in whatever endeavors you want to engage in. The first thing, and it's first for a reason, is to stop comparing. And I feel like I'm really preaching to the choir with this one, because it's so easy these days to compare ourselves to anything anyone else is doing. Whether that be, checking out the Forbes 30 under 30 list, or you can even hop onto Facebook and see what Anna or Mark or Tim is doing with their life. And I will recognize that to some extent, looking towards what others are doing and using that as a model for what you want to do can, to some extent, be beneficial. But what I really want to get at are, the types of comparisons that lead to self-deprecation, reduced self-esteem, and trust me, I know these feelings all too well from personal experience. I can't spend too much time on this point, so for the sake of time, the main thing I will propose to you is that the only person you should be comparing yourself to is your former self. And that can be you from last semester, or you from last year, whatever version of your former self you want to use. And I say this because your former self is the only thing that you can accurately hold your present self up against and make, legitimate criticisms based on where you are now. And I guarantee you that comparing your former self to your present self is much more productive than comparing yourself to another person whose circumstances are different than your own. And I said I have experience with this, so I also know that this is much easier said than done. So if you guys want another video separately that's focused just on comparisons and how to break that thought cycle, leave a comment down below and I will surely be glad to let you guys in on that. The second thing would be do some soul searching. During this time when you may be questioning your self-worth or your accomplishments up to this point, it's also a good time to dig a little deeper and give a long, hard thought about what interests you. And there are 3 general guidelines that you can utilize when trying to analyze your interest or what you want to pursue. You can reference your passions, you can reference what you're good at, or you can reference what you feel is worth putting your time and energy into. Now, for those who aren't used to conducting reflexive thinking, this could be a bit of a challenge, but it's so worthwhile so you can go forward and do things that you truly want to do with your life. And it's also good to just get some practice in on this now, because self-reflection is a very good skill to have and practice throughout your life. Tip number 3 is to be forward thinking. Now, I think one of the main reasons that many of us may end up in this stressful quarter-life crisis situation is because of our mundane lifestyles. And by that, I mean, kind of just simply going through the motions of life just to get done with what's in front of you. And those of us who are students or maybe rigid office workers may be pretty familiar with this kind of thing, because these kind of lifestyles, often have our vision orientated in very short-sighted manners. So, we're just thinking about the weekend, we're just thinking about finishing the assignment, we're just thinking about getting through the semester. So I challenge you to try to shift your vision just a tiny bit more forward. So maybe start thinking about post-graduation. Maybe start thinking about what you want your life to look like in 3 years or 5 years. And those things I just mentioned are kind of big things to take on, but there are pretty easy ways that you can actively shift your thinking and perspective of life more forward. For students, one of the biggest things that I recommend, an easy way to shift your thinking forward, is to go to career fairs. I don't care if that means skipping class. I don't care if that means, you have to dress up, or, you have to take a change of clothes to campus. Go to that career fair. Or maybe you buy yourself Starbucks coffee every day. Why don't you take that money that you use to buy a macchiato or frappuccino every day and instead put it into your savings account? Or maybe even invest an extra hour of your time cooking your own meals. Now, all of these seem like, pretty small tasks, but the common thread amongst all of them is they're all setting yourself up to be in a better position in the future. Now, once you shift your vision forward, you'll start to realize that every action that you take today is going to shape your future. And once you realize that, you can take active control of your present so that you can shape your future into exactly what you want it to be. Now, this 4th thing is something that I'm very passionate on. I have made a video about it before. You guys, if you want me to, I can make another video about it again. And that is about getting out of your comfort zone and not being afraid to try new things. Now, kind of pulling back on those mundane lifestyles that I mentioned before, if you ask me, I would say that the biggest elephant in the room when it comes to that is the idea and concept of fear and comfort. It is crucial for your development in any part of your life to go beyond what you know and try new things. And one of the best, if not the best way to disrupt those mundane lifestyles I mentioned is just by doing something that you've never done before and trying something new. And because I know you guys are just endeavorous human beings who can take on everything, I'm gonna push you just a bit further and say, I not only want you to try something that's new, I want you to try something that challenges your sense of comfort. One common one that I recommend to people is to go salsa dancing. It's something you have to get comfortable with. You have to be in close proximity with strangers, you have to be moving your feet around in ways that you're not used to. Great way to get outside of your comfort zone. Or even strike a conversation with that guy or gal that you've been eyeing for some time now. Now, there's a ton of power that can be gained from doing something that you feared or you didn't think you can do. And what I want to emphasize here is just doing. Notice I'm not even mentioning failure or success. That's because the power here lies in simply taking the action and carrying that action out to completion. The fifth and final thing I will leave you guys here with for navigating your quarter life crisis is to embrace failure and embrace your present self. There are some words that Will Smith said recently that I absolutely love. He said, "Fail early, fail often, fail forward." And it really highlights that failure is really an inevitable part of life. So you may as well embrace it so that you can gain from it. Another really important thing is to embrace your present self and love the work in progress that you are. And I can speak from experience on this as well, that oftentimes when we're working towards a goal, we can tend to beat ourselves up for not being there already. Or, back to the comparison aspect, we can beat ourselves up for not being at the level of someone else. For this, just think about the saying, it's not about the destination, it's the journey that really matters. And that highlights that what you really should embrace is the journey, and that's complete with all the failures that come along, because that's really what's going to shape the kind of human being that you become. So, that was long, but now that we're done with it, I want you to take a deep breath, relax, and try to incorporate the tips that I mentioned into your life. Just remember that we're in our 20s, and this isn't supposed to be the point in our life where we have everything figured out. This is supposed to be the point in our lives of trial and error and learning and discovery. So you should be spending this period doing exactly that. Now, to wrap up this video, I essentially want to dedicate this video to all the people who haven't been able to make it through their 20s or even make it up to their 20s, really. Recently for me, there's been a lot of death that's been pretty close to home, specifically death of young people. And just really put into perspective how fragile life is for me. So just be thankful of being alive, whether through the good and through the bad, and try to make every day as meaningful as you can in whatever way that means for you. And with that, I will leave you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you could hit that like button, also leave a comment down below, maybe subscribe if you could be so inclined to. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for stopping by.